சாப்பிட்டது போல இருக்குது. ரொம்ப நேரம் சாப்பிட மாட்டேங்குது.
அந்த பால் வேற பிடிக்கல.
All right, I think we can go ahead and start the call. Just a quick reminder before we go through the antitrust do's and don'ts. If you're not speaking, please keep your line on mute. So let's go ahead and begin. It is important that all participants in the CTIA Certification Program Working Group be familiar with the antitrust laws and follow this antitrust checklist when participating in CPWG meetings. Of course, this is not an exhaustive list and it is not a substitute for the advice of legal counsel. Let's go through our roll call. And I see Istvan, Apple, Andy, Verizon, Wilney, Sporten, Naveen, Samsung, Thorsten, Keysight, Eddie, SGS, Hyokjin, TTA, Kevin, Google, Jim, Eurofins, Alex, Anritsu, Florian, Dekra, CO, TTA, Clive, Tupsud, Sean, CTIA Certification, Ron, RWB, OTA Consulting, Derek, Blue Test, Benny, Vivo, John, Elite, see Peter, SGS, Emilio, Cisco, Glenn, EchoStar, Hammond, Europeans, Ian, Core, Edward, Element, Farouk, Apple, Tejo, Apple, Avijit, Viasat, Jose, RNS, Arifin, AT&T, Will, Lightfoot, CTIA Certification, Adil, T-Mobile, and Seung Soo Jung. Okay, 1 second. Seung Soo is with Eurofins. Did I miss anyone? I think Edwin ETS just joined us. Welcome, Edwin. Anyone else? Great. I'll pull up the agenda for today's call and hand things over to our working group leaders.
All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good night, and especially to folks dialing in from overseas, Asia. Happy Chinese or Lunar New Year. I know it's probably your first or second day in the office and already stuck with the CTI call. So welcome back. In terms of attendance, I see a pretty healthy attendance here with 35 people. So let's hope that that also translates into attendance at the face-to-face. Going through the list, nobody really stands out in terms of not having participated before. But I might be wrong. So let me have a call out to anybody that hasn't been on this call before. To briefly introduce himself or herself. All right. Seems that we did indeed have everybody here before. In terms of the next agenda item, in agenda item 2, approval of the January 20th meeting summary. Andy and I discussed, and given that the meeting summary was uploaded on Wednesday last week, so less than a full week, 5 business days before our call, we prefer to defer the approval of the January 20th meeting summary until the next meeting. As usual, if you see that any corrections should be made or any clarifications should be included in a summary, please do let Jose, Andy, and myself know. With that, we will not have any actions to review from the previous meetings in agenda item 3. We also don't have any contributions approved over email. in agenda item 4. We do have a number of on-time contributions, and we are also going to have some discussion later on in the new business agenda. So I do expect this meeting to last probably the full 2 hours. So don't be surprised if I have to cut some of the discussions of the on-time contributions short a little bit, because we do have some important aspects to discuss towards the end of the call. So let's start off with agenda item 5.1, the on-time contribution of OTA 2026-0203 version 1, simplifying OTA limit tables in CTI 101, and Kevin. Do we have Kevin on the line? Yes, we do.
Sorry, I'm muted.
All right.
All right. Let's go to the changes. Let's see. I think this one is introducing the idea of removing limit tables. And I guess there were some other changes in here as well. Maybe we can just briefly go through it. But LAA was made informative in a previous version, so there were some cleanup items, but that was not the main purpose. That was an editorial change. Let's go to the next change. Keep going. Those are related. Let's go to try to find the cases where the limit tables changed first time. Keep going. Those are LAA changes. Keep going. I think you'll have to click through a few, sorry. Yeah, keep going. There's an LAA change as well. Yep, still LAA. Probably one more for integrated devices. Yep, keep going. Or ankle. Keep going. Oh, there's another editorial correction. I didn't clean it up, sorry. Keep going. My apologies. I guess, yeah, I probably could have organized this a little better, but sorry, one more LA change. Keep going. Okay, so this one, well, this is maybe a little bit related, but I guess the relative sensitivity tests were changing to EIS, and that was one of the things that prompted the discussion about removing limit tables. So basically all references to relative sensitivity have been adjusted to EIS/relative sensitivity as appropriate, depending on the protocol. Go to the next. Keep going. Another LAA change. And okay. So as I mentioned, there were the reason to remove the limit tables was partly prompted by the desire to move the relative sensitivity tests from the temporary test requirements into the main test plan. So this is one of the comments to remove this, and it's been incorporated in the main text. Keep going. Same thing for this one. Keep going. Okay, let's see. Oh, nope, keep going. This is just a editorial fix. Okay, so for GSM, so I guess clarifying that the limits in this table are recommended, just to change the language around a little bit. And there's also text indicating that all test cases where info is required and the results to be reported are marked info. So instead of TBD, they're marked info now. In all test cases where testing is not required, are marked as NA. So basically, there are hopefully no TBDs left in these tables. Keep going down. And maybe another thing to note is that the column with free space now has a units DVM, while the other columns do not, because those are info/NA. Okay, go to the next table. Very similar text on the TIS side, just marking similar changes. And the titles of all the tables have also been changed. Generally, if there was a maximum or minimum, those have generally been removed, and just criteria is used, basically because we now have a mix of limits and test, don't test. So that's criteria for generically rather than levels, for example. Can you go to the LTE section? I don't think we need to go through all the changes, so I just want to go to the LTE, which has some of the other formats. Okay, so here, the language here talks about if there are no TRP limits, then we have a new table or have a table that's limited to a simple sample band, single sample band, to show the applicable use cases, device types, and applicable notes. And then the next two sentences are the same as before. And there is another sentence at the bottom saying for simple IoT devices, there are recommended limits, which are provided in a second table. So the first table just has one band, LTE band X. It has the kind of the very standard table that we had before, but now all the TBDs are gone. Where testing is required, we have info. And for simple IoT devices, I have a reference where there are limits to the next table. And the notes are basically all the same as before. And it's a much simpler table. And scroll down. No changes to the notes. And the next table now for simple IoT devices, these are recommended limits. And I think there was a note in the previous table defining what simple IoT devices are, but since this table is dedicated for simple IoT, I repeated it here. And this table is much simpler. It's just free space, and it has limits. Oh, another thing that, it's not shown in this version, but it will be shown in another version, is that we did also plan to make changes to make all the LTE references in band order instead of frequency order. And scroll down, take a quick look at the TIS. But it's very similar text, very similar changes. And I think that is all that I want to present for this. Wanted to get any feedback if anyone has any concerns about how the new tables without limits have been created. I think this has been reviewed quite extensively within the editorial team, and the editorial team, I believe, is okay with all of these changes, but thought it would be a good idea to present to the larger audience. One, to make sure people know that what's coming, and to see if there's any feedback. I think that's it. I think that's all I want to go as far as I want to show on this contribution.
All right, thank you. So any questions, feedback? Go ahead.
Can you go back the previous table? Is this a power on the free space? Can you go to that? Okay, you put that's all. You put the dimension, the unity here on a title. That's fine. Maybe it will be better put a DBM also here. Same matter you did on previous tables.
Yeah, I can do that.
Thanks.
Thanks, Istvan. Any other feedback, questions, comments? And Kevin, you mentioned that this has gone through editorial extensively.
Yes.
All right.
I think it's been presented or related to this, I think, two times, 3 times. I think we've been continuing to edit it, so yeah. It's been reviewed 2 or 3 sessions, I think.
And this change is for, or this proposal is for version 10 of the test plan?
This is for version 9.
Oh, version 9. Okay, let's make sure we add that in the, I did not quite see that in a cover sheet, I guess. Okay, let's document that this is for version 9. I know you implemented on version 9. So are there any concerns that this is an on-time contribution summarizing what editorial team has done? I do want to kind of go through the formal approval of this contribution. or this effectively overview of what Kevin has done in select parts of 0101. So are there any concerns implementing the changes as presented in 0101? Hearing none, so Kevin, proceed as planned for version 9 of the document of the 0101 test plan. And with that, we get to the next agenda item in 5.2, contribution 260204 version 1, test reduction in LTE when NR is supported. Also, Kevin.
So this proposal is, I guess, targeting when for other devices other than handheld devices. So handheld devices currently have a certain amount of test reductions allowed when NR and LTE is supported. And this proposes some test reductions for other device classes. One motivation to pursue these test reductions is that almost all the NR bands overlap and LTE bands, and that there are many LTE NR bands. And without any test reductions, the testing will almost double. For NR-FR1, RedCap protocol has I think, very many similarities to LTE, and the performance of RedCap is well aligned with the LTE performance. So I believe that reducing testing in LTE is well merited. And excuse me, the following test reductions in LTE are currently allowed. I think you can just scroll through the tables, but I summarized the changes or summarized what the test reductions are. Scroll down. Basically, there's a reduction in head-in-hand, hand, and free space. But basically, testing in LTE is reduced from BHHR, BHHL, HRHL, F free space to just testing in BHHR. And relative sensitivity testing on intermediate channels is not required in LTE. So the proposal, that's all for handsets, for handheld devices. So then the proposal is to reduce the testing in LTE for all other device classes, wrist-worn, chest, ankle, notebook, integrated devices, body-worn or non-body worn, when NR-FR1 or NR-FR1 RedCap is tested, and the reduction would be to test only the mid-channel and not to test relative sensitivity on intermediate channels. And the new table entry would be as shown below. And basically, this would be in the all section, and basically all devices except handhelds, which meet the following criteria. It's the same criteria that was used for the handheld devices, but on the second to last two bullets basically say that the mid-channel testing is only required and relative sensitivity is not required. And scroll down. I think that might be about it. Yes, I think I also had some text, had the text changes, and the request is to approve this for version 10. Any questions?
All right. Again, another on-time contribution. Go ahead. I don't know who spoke up.
Thank you for the contribution. This is from Apple. I just want to confirm this contribution proposing test reduction for all device types except the handheld. Is that correct?
That is correct, because the handheld has that other test reduction, which has 5 use cases reduced to 1 use case. So rather than change that one, it's just applying to all other device classes.
Just wondering why the handheld doesn't be considered in this test reduction.
Because the handheld had 5 use cases and it's already reduced to 1, so it's already an 80% reduction. So the mid-channel, instead of all 3 channels, is a 66% reduction. So if we swapped it, it would actually reduce the amount of test reduction on handheld devices. Or if you applied it on top of it, that seems like a bit too much reduction, because that would reduce it to like 96%, because you'd have 1 out of 15 cases tested or something.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you for clarifying that.
Any additional questions, comments, concerns? So again, given this is a on-time contribution, you indicated that this is for version 10 of the test plan. With that, can we go ahead and approve the corresponding CR for version 10 of the test plan? Hearing none, so let's consider the CR approved. And we go to the next agenda item. And this is agenda item 5.3, contribution 2026-0205, update to NTN band, NV band 255, load channel, and Andy.
Yeah, this is a very simple, pretty straightforward contribution. It was brought to my attention by a chipset vendor that focuses mainly on in the IoT space, that in the later releases, 3GPP has made some changes in both the core spec and then in 36508 in terms of the test channels for band 255 for narrowband NTN narrowband IoT. So this contribution simply, proposes to adjust the low test channel for NTN narrowband IoT band 255 to align with 3GPP. So if we open up the 0150 doc, it's a fairly simple change. Essentially, there are some regulatory issues in certain parts of the world, and it looks like what happened is they changed both the core spec and then 36508 to adjust the low channel for 255 up by 200 kilohertz. So the current test channel is valid, and we, from a Verizon perspective, we have not seen any issues with devices that so far that have certified have been able to work on this channel, but the chipset vendor in question, essentially blocks it because of the change in the core spec. So what I'm proposing here is very simply to adjust that low channel up by 200 kilohertz to align with 36508, and that's pretty much the only change. This is the transmit side, and if we scroll down, we'll see the same change in the receive side for the load channel.
Right.
And that's pretty much it, Thorsten. I mean, I also made the corresponding change in 0103, but I don't think we need to look at that.
Okay.
For the second time.
Very good. So are there any questions, concerns with Andy's proposal?
Hi, Andy, this is Farooq from Apple. I have a similar comments as we did last time. Is on 01.50, where we are looking for the radiator sensitivity test settings, and we still last time we commented that are we considering the test time reductions as we did for the narrowband IoT NTN testing for this one. So yeah, I noticed that it's the Leo for NGSO Leo 600 is got accommodated in the CR, but is there any last time when we discussed do we have any data set where we are considering that this NR-NTN have lesser time or same test time reduction as the narrowband IoT?
So isn't that addressing the next contribution, not this one?
No, I think this is for, I think it's 0150, right? It's the same CR. Is it correct, Andy?
Yeah, I think, yeah, Kevin's right. This one is strictly looking at LTE narrowband NTN and the test channels. The NR-NTN is the next contribution. Yeah.
Okay, I see. Okay.
So Andy, just very quickly, I looked at your cover sheet and I did not see the target version. Is this for version 9 or version 10? I believe it's 9, correct?
Yeah, I think we should make it a 9, given that
Yeah.
given the changing core spec and 36508. I think we should do it in version 9. Unfortunately.
So let me ask, are there any questions, comments, concerns regarding this contribution? Is everybody okay to approve the CR for version 9 of the test plan? Hearing none, so let's consider that contribution approved as well. And with that, we go to the next agenda item. That's agenda item 5.4. And contribution 260208, version 1, inclusion of the single-hand phantoms for FR2, and that is coming from 5G millimeter wave. So this is a set of CRs that we approved in the last 5G millimeter wave meeting, and was consequently submitted up to OTA. Let's maybe go ahead and open up 0101 first. So as we have discussed in the face-to-face meeting, we have a work split between MUSG, 5G millimeter wave, and NeFLT Phantom, where we agreed that certain groups are going to do certain portions of integrating the FR2 Phantoms. 5G millimeter wave has obviously probably the bulk of the at least procedural changes, and some aspects of validation procedures. So this CR included most or all of the relatively straightforward changes to introduce the phantoms into the test plans. There are other topics that are still left to be discussed in 5G millimeter wave, including CRs, and that was then removed from a subsequent contribution within 5G millimeter wave. So all of these changes here were the non-controversial aspects, and there are some other maybe more controversial aspects that are left to be discussed. So in 0101, we have now added a statement that devices tested with the phantoms are now applicable. Testing of PC3UE, specifically smartphones, are tested now in hand left and hand right. This is the guidance from the operators. They said that they wanted to augment free space testing with the HL and HR testing. We excluded the talk mode, so head and hand for the voice call. We, based on the operator requirement from many years ago or a request, we did not further investigate the head and hand phantoms for millimeter wave, even though SPEARC did present a proposal. So this is the first change that we made in 0101, with the note indicating that we are most likely in NFP addressing the reference to the phantoms, the selection chart, and the positioning guidelines. So we had some very initial discussions, or we had a CR that we discussed yesterday in NFP that is addressing just that. There's some offline discussion on the selection chart. So again, we are making progress on introducing FR2 Phantoms slowly but surely, not just in 5G millimeter wave, but in other groups as well. So with that, we can go to the next CR of this contribution. So let's go ahead and maybe do the 0103. That is introducing the test configuration in the RB, so the tables supporting the millimeter wave test methodology. So in most cases, I added the additional column for test configuration, which is now applicable to free space, hand left, hand right, so FS, HL, HR. This is repeated for every one of the tables that is highlighted in yellow. We don't need to go over this, but effectively every one of these tables now has a column where you would enter which measurement is applicable to free space, hand left, and hand right. So that is 0103. Let's go to, which one is the next one? Let's go to 0122. And it's starting off with adding the acronyms for free space, HL and HR. Again, we just talked about it. And then we are talking about some of the test procedures. So if you scroll to section 3, so the first one is that the charging cable is applicable to all of these test conditions: free space, hand left, hand right. That is something that we had previously agreed. Near-field Phantom is designing a Phantom that would support the charging cable. So that statement there is making the charging cable applicable for all of the test conditions. And then on the procedures, we are now addressing that we have the repositioning concept as an option for the free space test condition. And for hand left, hand right, we don't have the repositioning concept applicable anymore, because all of those measurements are effectively performed in a single shot without reorienting the device, including the Phantom. So that was introduced in the corresponding steps highlighted here, or the clarifications were made right there. So that is for the BeamPeak search, and then very similarly, we added the corresponding changes for the other test cases. There are also a couple of corrections. Since we added more device types, we no longer have the 3 alignment options, 1, 2, 3. So you go to the next change. That's kind of where you see it. It's changed. Yeah, go to the next change in section 3.2. There we go. So one of the items I saw, we were talking about 3 alignment options, but because we have FWAs, we have laptops, and now the alignment option for Phantoms, I had to remove the reference of 3 alignment options, because we no longer just talk about free space testing for smartphones. Added more tables there that needed to be referenced. And then again, for TRP, the repositioning concept applied in... actually, no. So again, it is talking about the references of the correct or the appropriate orientations and alignment options. So that is something we did in section 3.3. Let me see, which section are we on over here? It's 3.2. So yeah, if you go to the next change, very similar change here on TRP. And then again, we continue down the line where I made more changes on test procedures on the RX side. So if you go scroll a little faster on the RX side, again, the applicability of the charging cable to the 3 different test conditions. So go to section 4. Again, that is making the charging cable applicable for free space, hand left, hand right. And then the BeamPeak search procedure, again, more than just the 3 alignment options. And then the applicability of the repositioning concept in step 8B. So if you scroll further down, we're saying for handheld device in the HL or HR, the repositioning concept is not applicable. So that is the condition there. And then again, the same, removing the references with 3 alignment options, because we have a lot more now. That was changed, and I believe, yes. Then if you go to section 6.2, now the measurement grids, we are now talking about the applicability of the measurement grids to HL/HR testing. We have the exclusion zone defined in the HL/HR test cases that we are not searching beyond 135 degrees. So that is that exclusion zone that we talked about, the plus minus 45 degree exclusion zone. So that is documented here in section 6.2 in the last bullet. And then all of the other measurement grids in the subsequent sections were applied to not just free space, but also the HL/HR conditions. So all very similar in terms of the measurement grids and the applicability thereof. That is 0122. Let me see which, and then we have 0171. That's the last CR. There's a discussion paper that kind of goes with a lot of these, but there's no need to review those. And I don't know why it's not loading on my end. But again, the acronyms, the addition of free space, HL/HR, go to the next change. Yes, now we're adding the, scroll down. We're adding the default device alignment option, the device orientation. That is also something from a device positioning perspective that Jose has been addressing yesterday in NFP, but this is just the illustration of the default alignment option. We have specified in NFP a couple of years ago that the DOT can be contained anywhere in the quiet zone, as long as, of course, the phone is included within the 30 centimeter quiet zone. So that there were statements that were added for clarification in later revisions of the CR. So if you scroll further down, these are the images for HL/HR. Scroll further down. I think there's another set of clarifications at the very end. You see, here we're talking about the applicability of the repositioning of the DOT applicable only for the free space test condition. Scroll further down. See if there's any. Again, hard coding the repositioning concept to the free space test condition. Scroll further down. Again, the radiating portions with and without phantoms. Again, small clarifications here that regardless of whether you test with or without phantoms, the radiating elements always have to be in the quiet zone. I think there's one more change towards the very end. Yes, very similar statement to what I reviewed up top, highlighted in yellow. There was a request that we make this same kind of statement and very clear that the DOT shall be contained within the quiet zone without having to align the geometric center here to a certain part of the coordinate system of the quiet zone. So that is something that we had previously agreed in NFP, and that same sentence was added here. So with that, any questions, comments? Again, we went through a number of changes. We did take a couple of meetings in 5G millimeter wave to approve this set of CRs. As I said, there are other aspects that we're still considering in 5G millimeter wave, but we felt it might be good to start contributing on the less controversial aspects and get them into the test plan sooner rather than later. So that's why we decided to pull one of the CRs that had some of the controversial aspects in it out of this contribution, approved this contribution in the last 5G millimeter wave call and submitted it up here. So are there any concerns approving this set of CRs for version 10 of the test plan? Hearing none, so let's consider these approved. Obviously, there is still aspects that we are waiting for in terms of millimeter wave phantoms. If they don't get completed on time, obviously those CRs cannot be implemented, but we'll take it on a case-by-case basis. With that,
hey, Thorsten.
Yep, go ahead.
Now that we've passed the approval process, I wanted to just note that I'm very impressed with all the work that has gone into this, because as you started at the beginning, it has involved work from 3 different groups: the near field phantom, the MU group, millimeter wave, at least. I was wondering if you could just, for my own information and maybe for the group's information, summarize real quick how all those 3 groups work together to put this document together, if you could.
Yeah, good point. As you see, some of the comments that are made in this CR is based on input documents to NFP from various companies, including Keysight, that had proposed certain positioning guidelines, certain alignment options in NFP, because NFP was going through the round robin, or the mini round robin that Rohde & Schwarz graciously led in NFP. So there were a lot of early decisions that we had to make in NFP that generally probably would have been under the scope of a 5G millimeter wave. But again, because we kickstarted the measurement campaign in NFP, we brought in a lot of contributions on alignment options, on positioning, and other aspects, like you can position the device anywhere within the quiet zone as long as the device is contained. So a lot of, again, decisions made in NFP that generally probably should have been made in 5G millimeter wave. And of course, there was a lot of some exchange in terms of the measurement results. I analyzed the results from all of the different labs that participated. From these results, we deferred the exclusion zone of plus minus 45 degrees. Again, all of that was agreed in NFP based on the available measurements. And again, I took those proposals over to 5G millimeter wave to implement those agreements in the test procedures, in the measurement grids, and whatnot. So really, yes, a lot of collaboration or a lot of work that went on in both NFP and 5G millimeter wave contributed in the generation of these CRs. And again, obviously, Jose and I were talking offline quite a bit. Again, Jose was very involved in the mini round robin. We had a lot of online and offline discussions on positioning devices. So again, a lot of the CRs here were also discussed offline with Jose, obviously, in trying to get his initial feedback, and we collaborated on that. So yeah, a lot of collaboration on a company to company level, but also on a sub-working group to sub-working group level.
Thank you for all that perspective, and again, congratulations for all who are so much involved.
All right, thank you for that. All right, last on-time contribution, that is agenda item 5.5 and contribution 0913 version 5. I did reach out to Andy, and he confirmed that the V5 version 5 that was uploaded late was based on offline feedback. These were very small changes in the version 5. He made some changes to a table that we consider informative. And because of that, we still consider this contribution an on-time contribution. Again, because the changes made in V5 were based on offline feedback and really more informative changes. So, Andy, if you could go over this contribution. I know we talked about this contribution, I think now for the third meeting. I know we had discussed this during the the last face-to-face meeting. So take it away.
Sure. Not a whole lot of updates here. The original version 4, I made an update in 0150 and I removed the 0120 altogether because with the changes that had been made in version 9 for 0120, the 0120 update wasn't needed. So that was one of the things flagged in the last meeting. And in the 0150 document, why don't we open up the 0150 document? That's where the two changes are. There was feedback in the last meeting that in terms of the Leo, to essentially add a little bit more clarity in that first paragraph there with respect the changes you see here in yellow are the changes. And there was this in the very first opening paragraph, there's just to add a little bit of clarity about what gets tested between Leo 600 and Leo 1200, make that a little bit clearer. And then a little bit further down, you kind of see towards the middle of the screen, there is apparently a plan to add dynamic into 38508. So this just calls out, the other item of feedback was essentially that we should go with the ephemeris configuration that's currently in 38508, explicitly call that out, where it's 0 Doppler with a constant delay. So those were the two changes from version 4. And then the version 5 change is just updating offline. Jose provided some corrections. If we scroll down to the Appendix A table, with some of the additional where they have some of the test channel configuration information. So those changes are in green. So those are the changes, just centrally changing those two items in Appendix A. And so that's all the changes that have been made since the last time the last meeting in January when we last reviewed this contribution. Those are the only changes, in addition to the fact that I withdrew the 0120 updates because they were no longer required based on some other contributions that have been approved. So at this point, I think the only other question now is the question that Apple brought up, and Google's also brought this up. We don't have data yet on the test time for sensitivity. What I did do is I did reach out to two of the main chipset suppliers worldwide, and their input is, and I have to be careful how I word this, their feedback was they're either not seeing any issue or they don't expect to see any issue with NR-NTN because as opposed to the narrowband IoT case, the NR-NTN, basically the sensitivity test uses all the same parameters that regular SA sensitivity testing uses, especially like the number of HART processes and everything like that. And so their expectation is that the sensitivity, the underlying sensitivity test that runs in, for NR-NTN should, from 3GPP, the test time for that should be on par with the equivalent test for standard SA testing. So that's the only piece of feedback I have in addition to this. The other thing is I don't think we should talk about this yet because it's in the agenda further on. I am open to the idea of possibly making this informative. So initially, especially given some changes that we're going to discuss later on about release planning, I think if those occur, then I think it does probably make sense to make this informative initially. So, but I did want to throw out that piece of feedback I got offline from two major chipset vendors. And I know we also have a late contribution that discusses the test time topic as well.
Right, Andy, thanks for that update. Yes, there is a shameless plug from my end. I did have a very late contribution that is looking at NRNT and OTA test times based on technology advancements between NV and NR. It's an informative contribution. There's no proposals in there, but I'm not sure whether we even get to this contribution. But let me ask, is there any concern at this point approving this contribution while considering making this informative for whatever test plan this is going to go into? And again, there is a discussion on test plan releases that we'll have here towards the end of the meeting. But technically, is there any concern approving this contribution as is from a technical perspective?
So the proposal is that if it goes into version 10, it would be informative. Is that what we're approving at this time?
I don't want to right now talk about version 10 specifically. I'm saying that given that we're going to have some discussions on release planning, I would like to endorse maybe the technical content and talk about the applicability in terms of informative versus normative and test plans maybe separately.
But Thorsten, it has to go to either version 9 or version 10 or 11, right? I think this is what the company expect to understand so they can see on any potential impact when we endorse this contribution.
I fully agreed, and that's why I'm asking for technical endorsement of the test procedure and the testing aspects, and that we will discuss the applicability on target release and the informative versus normative status separately. That's maybe that's a little bit more clear.
Yeah, but that information is needed. I mean, let's say that we agree that this will be informative for version 10. At least OEMs can kind of, understand whether is this okay, if somehow there's going to be any issue. At least it gives some information. It gives some OEM can try to see whether is there any potential impact, right? But if it become version 9, then it's a bit different story, because different version is depend on the product certification timeline and product, supported a lot of things that need to be considered. That's why the version on the contribution is quite important.
I understand. That's why I'm having a two-step process. I would like to get the technical endorsement on the technical aspects, and once we go through the release planning discussions, then we will talk about where does NR/NTN fit in, and is it going to be informative versus normative. So I don't want to make the decision on where does it fit in right now. I want to see whether we need to make additional changes on the technical aspects, and leave the applicability and on the specific version and timing, as well as normative versus informative, as a completely separate discussion. And I don't want to agree on any of that at this point.
Okay, in terms of the technical perspective, right? I thank you, Andy, to provide some update from another two major chipset vendors, but those are only like the verbal updates. So, and I think that is something that we want to be sure, right? To see the result on at least multiple device, multiple chipset vendor, in order to agree that this configuration can be used for the OTA testing.
Fair point. Again, I do believe that the configuration can be used. It's just a matter of test time.
Yes, correct.
Are you?
Yes, correct. I agree.
Yeah.
Totally agree with your statement.
So maybe I think what Resuit wants and what I think I prefer as well is that we approve this technical and target informative until such time as some of the questions regarding test time can be resolved. And then we can discuss the details of the version that we incorporated in at a later time.
I think that's fair.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. That makes it clean. Yeah, I'm fine with that, Thorsten. We'll go with informative until we have the data. Yeah.
I agree. How that data looks like and how many data points we need that is up for discussion. But I again, that's kind of where I was trying to get to. Let's endorse this contribution technically and agree that this edition will be informative until we can confirm the actual test times. That's fine. So I leave it to Jose to word this properly or in a fashion we just discussed. So with that, again, thanks for the feedback and thanks for having us progress here on NR-FR1 NTN testing. With that, we do have time to go over the working group task force updates. I would like to ask you to keep these updates to a minimum. Yes, go ahead.
Hey, Thorsten, yeah, before that, moving on, I have one further question is regarding the comments Andy made based on the two chipset vendors. So can you please further elaborate that they are seeing the test time is similar as the TN, or is the lower than compared to the narrowband IoT and TN? Can you further elaborate on this?
I think that question's more for Andy, right? He was the one that talked to.
Yeah. They are expecting. Yeah, their expectation is that NRNTN should be on par with regular SA because the underlying 3GPP test procedure is essentially similar, or basically the NRNTN RefSense underlying RefSense test uses the same procedure as the regular SA case. The only addition is the satellite and the delay factor. But in terms of, like, for example, hard processes and things like that, it's identical. And so their feedback was they don't expect to see the problems we had in narrowband IoT.
I see. Okay, thanks for that. But there is one the K offset delta will always be there, right? The round trip time.
Right.
Thanks. Yeah. Thank you.
All right, let's start off with agenda item 6.1 and the MOSG update and Istvan.
We didn't have any MOSG meetings since the last OTA. The next MOSG meeting will be Friday on February 27th.
Very good. Thank you for that, Istvan. Agenda item 6.2, wireless IoT. Apply for a deal.
We also hadn't had a meeting since the last OTA meeting. Our next meeting is tomorrow, so the 25th.
Very good. With that, agenda item 6.3, the reverb chamber, and Derek or Edwin.
Hey, this is starting to sound like a repeat. Our next, we last met before previous one, and so our next meeting is this week on Thursday, the 26th.
All right. So I will sound like a record player here in agenda item 6.4. MUSG, same thing. We did not have a meeting since the last OTA call. And the next meeting is going to be February 25th, which is tomorrow. With that, I don't know if we have a representative here, or Elvis didn't look at the list. 6.5, the Converged Wireless Group, CWG.
Yes, and we do have a meeting right after last OTA call, and we have some good discussion. We have some on-time contribution, really rare. But yes, and also we talk about like the input, like how we want to treat with the repo 6.5 gigahertz frequency because the dipole is there, loop is not there, so we revise the test plan accordingly. And our next meeting will be either March 4th or March 11th. And we do have a new contribution follow up. So, yeah, that'll be all.
Very good. Thank you for that, Elvis. On agenda item 6.6, the 5G millimeter wave. Go ahead.
Sorry, Thorsten, just to confirm, when is the next meeting expected, Elvis?
The target is March 11th, the usual one, but it's just 1 week away from the face-to-face. So we are thinking of pulling the meeting to March 4th, but it's still under discussion.
Okay, I'll record the 11th, and then yeah, we can change. Okay.
Thank you.
Very good. Thanks for catching that, Jose. Yes, on the 5G millimeter wave working group, we did have a meeting on January 27th. Our next meeting is going to be later this week on the 26th. We did have a number of discussions regarding the single-hand phantoms. We obviously just approved a number of CRs that were approved in the January meeting here. And we did and will continue to have discussions on the QAQZ validation procedure in the associated MU. And that is something that we will continue this week. With that, agenda item 6.7, the Near-Field Phantom Group, and Clive.
Well, we did have a meeting, and it was on Monday, the 23rd. Now, obviously, there's been some discussion on the single-hand phantom for millimeter wave, and we had a discussion within our group to what the work share is. A little bit of confusion who's doing what, but I think we've nailed that one down. We're looking at 0172, which is the near-field phantom test plan itself, and there was a conversation about the hand selections. We're going to take a look at 0101 and see if we can get a CR going on that. That's the single-hand phantom on the dual landscape grip, and we must remind ourselves this is for FR1. We had an update in the round-robin test plan. That's work ongoing. We still need positioning guidelines to be added to this plan. On the other aspects of the dual landscape grid CAD, we endorsed it under it's under a 5-day rule at the moment with minor edits. We want to get it into a 5-day rule, so we want to get that onto the first day of the main OTA. We had a discussion on AR, VR, and XR. As we reported before, there's a head reduction from 90% to 50%. Looks like the prototypes will be available at our face-to-face meeting, which is marvellous. A lot going on there, effectively. And we've kind of had a call out for the devices as well. So we will have a number of devices to take a look at this head. And the only thing is, we will have a prototype for the dual landscape grid at the face-to-face as well. And with that, the face-to-face is March the 17th. That is our next meeting.
Very good. Thank you, Clive. Up next is agenda item 6.8, the CA task force. Andy.
Yep, not much to report. We did have a meeting at the end of January after Maine OTA met. We had a short meeting. We continue working on a couple contributions. Our next meeting is planned for next Wednesday. It was requested by operators, so if there are contributions from operators for any additional CA combinations, we will have that meeting. If there are not any additional contributions, I will likely cancel it, but we'll see how that goes.
All right, thanks for that. Up next, we have agenda item 6.9, MRR task force. Risud or Will?
Yeah, we didn't have the meeting in the past month. So, but we expect to have the contribution in our face-to-face meeting next month in Texas. So I think that's all the update we have.
Very good. Thank you, Risud. Almost last, PTCRB GNSS task force in agenda item 6.10, and Jose.
Thanks, Torsten. We had 2 dates, but we decided to cancel because of no new contributions and no new business to discuss. So our next meeting will be held at the face-to-face on March 17th, and yeah, we are working offline on a couple topics, so we have something to discuss at the face-to-face.
Very good. Thank you for that, Jose. And now, last but not least, the PTCRB working group, and Sean will provide an update.
Yeah, thank you so much, leadership. There is no additional updates because the PTCRB working group is preparing for the Super Week next week, which will take place at Apple Park in Cupertino. And I understand we are now collecting all the updates from the OTA working group leadership. We are going to provide all the activity updates on March 5th, on Thursday, during the PTCRB plenary. So I believe we will have more updates regarding the PTCRB during the OTA face-to-face meeting. Now back to you, Torsten.
Very good. So that also covers the synchronization between PTC and OTA. So that is now, yeah, we will provide, of course, our usual update to PTCRB, and then hopefully get some status back from PTCRB for the next face-to-face meeting. At this point, I would like to, at least for now, skip the late contribution, because I would like to get through the test plan releases. There are a number of updates we're going to provide there, but we also have 2 CRs and more importantly, the new business to discuss. So I would like to revisit towards the end of the meeting whether we have time for the late contribution at that time. So let's move straight to agenda item 9, the test plan releases and the editorial aspects in agenda item 9.1. Will Colbert.
Sure, thanks, Torsten. So for the first one, the OTA editorial team has not begun work on 8.0.x release 4. As you may recall, release 3 was just published in December, so we're still gathering those contributions and CRs for release 4. The team is focused right now on version 9. We do have 2 meetings next week to get those documents near completion prior to the face-to-face, so that's our immediate priority right now.
Very good. Thank you for that. Now we move to the OTA version 8 test plan suite, and Will or Ron?
Yeah, I can announce that our new mandatory date is now going to be March 31st. That was sent out to this group and the ATLs a couple weeks ago, and Ron, I think, has some information on a couple new process changes that he wanted to talk about.
So we're right now discussing the rollout status in 9.2.3. We'll get back to the system validation status, but again, this is a very important update here. I'm hopefully everybody's aware by now. The new mandatory date is March 31st. We had to push it one more time to now after the face-to-face. Ron, do you have any? Are you online?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, perfect. So if you could provide an update to the process changes that Will was talking about.
Yeah, so just as a high level, we made a decision to, in order to try to at least try to keep the mandatory date from moving out even further. We made a decision to try to modify the process for the chamber reviews, and it mainly impacts labs that have multiple chambers at a one particular site. So in essence, we've made it such that the ATL will be reviewed for a minimum set of OTA chambers, and by minimum OTA chambers, it's meant to say that this total scope from the lab would be considered based on what's in their LAD table 6-1 lab test capabilities. And I would identify which chambers needed to be reviewed for that superset of testing scope. So for an example, one chamber may be reviewed for the CISO OTA scope, except for AGNSS, but then another chamber would be then reviewed only for AGNSS. And so we would then provide that feedback back to the lab, and the lab would then work on closing all those identified deficiencies, as well as working in parallel to update their submission package for the remaining chambers. And then once the lab has closed all the deficiencies on that original set of OTA chambers, the ATL will also be asked to complete the update for their submission packages for the remaining chambers, which weren't initially reviewed. And those should be uploaded. Those updates should also then be uploaded prior to the mandatory date. So at that point, once the deficiencies have been closed on the original chamber or chambers, the ATL will be considered authorized for the superset of testing scope across all the chambers as identified in their table 6-1 info. And then after the mandatory date, then the subject matter expert will review the updated submission packages that were not reviewed during the first pass, so that feedback can be provided back to the ATLs for their consideration. And any critical items, the ATLs will be encouraged to address them due to the fact that it would have escaped review due to this first pass review approach. And then also after the mandatory date, I'll also be considering the review of the ATL submission packages that were submitted after the submission deadline. So that's what we've done to try to help minimize a lot of work for both the lab and subject matter expert for in the cases where you have a lot of back and forth on almost identical comments across chambers. Of course, there is some differences, slight differences, but in many regards, a lot of the same identical comments apply. So we're looking at using this approach here, given the fact that the scope of version 8, given that we skipped some items in version 6, the scope of version 8 is actually about 4 times as large as the version 4 update. So it is quite a lot as far as testing scope, as labs already know. And hopefully that will help us, at least try to keep to this next revised mandatory date. So that's kind of an overview of the process.
All right. Thanks, Ron. I would encourage you and Jose to work on summarizing this somehow for the meeting summary. I do believe it is very important that we provide a concise summary of your plans. I know the email went out to the labs already. For folks that haven't seen that email, again, it's important that we properly document that here. And I trust you and Jose will capture that accordingly. I would like to go back to the system validation status.
Yeah, sorry. I
No,
realized that. Yes, there's some additional comments that we have for the system validation status. For CISO, one additional system provider solution was approved for version 8 for AGNSS, and the other system provider solution is close to being approved. The SME is reviewing that this week. And for 5G millimeter wave, one additional system provider's package was submitted, and that also is pending SME review. And again, the new mandatory date was extended to March 31st.
Very good. And that mandatory date is for all of the Suite 8 test plans, CWG, 5G millimeter wave, CISO, and MIMO. So
that is correct.
Are there any initial questions, feedback regarding the just announced rollout status? Right, hearing none. Oh, go ahead.
Did the CWG test plan also move to March 31st?
Yes, all of the version 8 test plans, CWG, 5G millimeter wave, CISO, and MIMO are affected by that date.
Thank you.
All right.
Yeah, because CWG is treated kind of as an add-on to CISO, it's imperative that we clear the deficiencies for the CISO OTA before CWG, so it has to align with the whatever we're doing on the CISO side.
Very good. Thanks for that clarification, Ron. So again, I would like to highlight we have now pushed back the mandatory date a number of times, and that kind of made Andy and me think and have some offline discussions regarding the release planning and contribution deadlines. So we'll get there as soon as we have reviewed the interfaces with other SDOs. So we have 2 CRs coming fresh from RAN 4. Not CRs, LSs, sorry. We have 2 LSs from RAN 4 in the meeting that was held, was it last week? I kind of lost track of time. I think it was last week. So we have the first LS regarding the NB-IoT NTN OTA testing. This was drafted by Roshan, or both of the LSs, I believe, were drafted by Roshan. So Benny, are you available to present these two LSs? Benny, oh here.
Yeah, yeah. For these two, we have but the problem is that all these two areas is center.
Your audio, at least for me, the audio is not coming through very well. It's very chopped off. I don't know if other people have the same issue.
That's correct. I can confirm that.
Okay. Yes, Benny. You're coming in and out. You seem to be losing some audio connection, or I don't know if you activated the wrong microphone.
Now it's okay?
Yep, better.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So I think last meeting in CCSA TC9, I think is last December. Last year, I think we have reviewed these two areas. The problem is that these two areas are not send the correct interface for the CCSA. I think maybe next time I will ask the leadership to reply these areas and give the right interface to the CTA. And no feedback for these two areas so far.
Right. I think you're providing an update with regards to the LS that we sent out on NB-IoT to other SDOs. This agenda item here specifically is the reply LS to CTIA from RAN 4 in that RAN 4 has discussed NB-IoT and the test configuration that CTIA has chosen, and RAN 4 has now, at least in ACR, also formally adopted that configuration where a NTN configuration is mapped to a TN configuration with a K offset of 0. So this is something that RAN 4 has adopted. RAN 4 has also queried chipset vendors whether there is any issue with this configuration, and the final feedback is that no, there shouldn't be any feedback applying a K offset of 0 for these NTN test cases, which again will make an NTN test case become a TN test case. So that is the essence of the first reply LS. So Benny, sorry, I summarized the LS and the decisions that were made in the last RAN 4 meeting for you. So if you could then present the second LS, which is based on a lot of offline work, a lot of fish market, as we call it, efforts in RAN 4 to define OTA requirements, more fish market on the SISO side than the MIMO side. So Benny, if you could present the second LS, and maybe Wisut and or Istvan can provide some of their views on the corresponding SISO and MIMO OTA requirements discussions as well.
Okay, no problem.
Thanks.
You want me to comment on the MIMO?
Yeah, Benny, are you familiar with this LS, or should we just go ahead and have Wisut and Istvan provide the corresponding updates, what was discussed, what we have achieved in the last meeting, because they were obviously there. and were very instrumental in the corresponding discussions and agreements. Do you prefer, Benny, that Wisut and Istvan summarize this latest development?
I think no need for that. I can take the letter.
Okay. Then in that case, Istvan, yes, if you could provide your views, and then Wisut, if you could present some of the updates on the site, that'd be great.
Yes, if any question, I will check with Israel.
Right. Okay, thank you. On the MIME OTA, this is a measurement campaign that was conducted on WID for release 19. There was 3 aligned labs that collect data on bands N3 and 7 and 8 and 77. The pool of data was completed on the meeting 2 weeks ago. There was one missing data for band N77 provided by Apple to complete the threshold of 15 data points. With that, we complete the pool of data and analyzing the CDF of the results. We agree on performance requirement values for all 3 bands that was captured. It was a change was sent to a 38151 to capture that. With that conclusion, the working item was concluded as well.
Very good. Thank you for that, Istvan. Wisut.
Thank you, Thorsten. So in terms of the TRPTS requirement, I think the RAN4 has started this release 19 requirements in a year ago. And the scope of this includes 4 bands, N3, N5, N7, N8 in the hand phantom and the head and hand phantom, pretty much browsing mode and talk mode. And the scope of this include both the device between 56 millimeter to 92 millimeter. There are a lot of companies contributing into this test requirement campaign. Pretty much the OEMs, the labs, the operator, they participate in this campaign. There's more than 50 devices that have been collected, and then the group is able to determine what is the passing rate based on the total number of devices that have been submitted, I think starting from 2025 until this year. I think RAN4 is able to accomplish the significant requirement on this one, on this 4 band, in both hand phantom and head and hand phantoms. And this has been completed and updated into TS 38.161. And I think RAN4 just want to inform CTA regarding this progress. I think that's all the update. Thank you, Thorsten.
All right, thanks, Istvan and Wisut. I see a raised hand. Abhijit, do you have any question?
Yeah, not on this one, but the other one, the NB-IoT NTN test reduction.
Okay. Sorry.
Shall I go ahead?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so basically this LS was also sent to GSMA Antenna Performance Group, and we had a discussion there today. And some of the GSMA members, they want to get access to that version 9 test pack, and they wanted to view what changes are there exactly related to this NB-IoT NTN test reduction. So do we have any publicly available link, or that will be available once version 9 is introduced, that I can share with them?
Yes, so version 9 is not publicly available yet because we're still in the drafting process. The contribution was with the changes, or with the introduction of the NTN NB-IoT NTN test cases were introduced by Verizon and others. That also is a CTI internal contribution, but I would assume that a number of the GSMA members are also CTIA members. So we would certainly be able to provide the corresponding contribution numbers that made up the NB-IoT NTN test cases. Sean, are there any other mechanisms where we would be able to share excerpts or the contribution to non-members within GSMA?
That's a very good question because usually we do not share the draft of the test plan, but if this something just like you said, so we have the overlap membership, we probably can share the excerpts. So I think it's up to the working group what you guys think about it. Of course, we probably also double check with the contribution authors as well.
Yeah, I at this point the version 9 test plan suite might be more difficult to share because of all the change tracking included.
Right.
It might be better to see whether we could share to interested parties. If they could officially reach out to Sean or CSERT, then we could see whether we can make the corresponding Verizon contribution available to them, which has a number of the NB-IoT NTN test configurations and test plan updates in there.
So are we only talking about contributions submitted by Andy? That's it?
I do believe so, because those contain all the technical updates with regards to the K offset, with regards to the satellite locations. All of that was kind of going hand in hand with the Google contribution, and I think in the end, Google was added to the corresponding contribution. But I do believe that one contribution contained all of the aspects that might be of interest to the GSMA members. Yeah.
So I believe that's one is the 2025-00913 V5. Is that correct? Where I'm off here.
Let me check.
I'm checking.
That's the one Andy just presented.
I believe. No. We're talking about the NTN, the NB-IoT. It's 24.12.7 V6.
Okay.
So it's 2024-012-007 V6.
Okay. So I think Andy, if I think we definitely can take this offline to discuss that. But if we have the authors over here, it's like Andy said, if CTI does not see the issues, and then I just want to make sure the contribution author also feel comfortable to share this with our counterpart. That's it.
So maybe one comment, Sean, and also Torsten. I guess sharing the text proposal or the CR, it's fine. I had a kind of an offline discussion with a couple of the members in the GSMA, and they might be also interested in the background for such a test time reduction and the justification, I think, for those changes with respect to 3GPP. So maybe also the Google contribution with the test time analysis and the reasoning behind the satellite scenario change and the others reduction could be also useful eventually. So just to give a heads up about that.
Yeah, exactly. They are interested in justification, and in fact, I think they are preparing another LS to CTIA about some of their queries. So maybe I could ask them to add this query also to get those documents from CTIA, right?
Very good. If they are preparing an LS to CTIA, I think then we have a more official route, and in that case we can answer all of the corresponding questions and provide the the excerpts of the test plan or the contribution based on what specifically GSMA is asking for. So yeah, let's take that course. Let's await the LS from GSMA, and then we'll work together, Verizon, Google, and likely others to provide a response LS to GSMA.
Okay, perfect.
Very good.
Thanks for that. Yeah. And sorry, one more question is, so when is this version 9 will be released? Any date that we have decided?
So that is now part of the upcoming discussion on test plan releases. We never really we had said that we wanted to release version 9 prior to the face-to-face. That is why Will Colbert is furiously scheduling meetings prior to the face-to-face. So with that, I would like to get to the next agenda item, the new business and the proposed release plan and contribution deadlines. This is merely for discussion at this point, but again, we just received an update that we had to delay the the enforcement of version 8 one more time to beyond the face-to-face meeting, March 31st. Andy and me, we did talk offline, and we felt that it might not be the right strategy to release version 9 right now and then have this upcoming face-to-face meeting the contribution deadline or the approval deadline for version 10. So we would effectively have 2 new test plan versions that are either being released and or being worked on while we're having all these difficulties to get version 8 mandatory. So at this point, we had some offline discussions. Andy brought it up in the operator call and proposed the following, that we would now effectively say that the spring face-to-face meeting coming up in March becomes the new version 9 deadline, and all version 10 contributions that were already approved by the face-to-face meeting would effectively become part of version 9. So again, we realize this is a major shift that could have impact in terms of timing of aspects and items that we considered, or the operators considered, high priority that could be potentially moved up. So that's why there might potentially be items that we would make informative that were originally planned to be normative in version 10. So NR-NTN is a very good example. We had planned to make NTN originally normative for version 10. And this would obviously, since we have since we have most of the aspects covered for NTN or NR-NTN. So this is certainly one of the items that we would make informative in version 9. And other items will be treated on a case-by-case basis. Again, whether this is requested by OEMs, by operators, by test equipment vendors. But again, the consideration right now is that anything approved by the spring face-to-face will become version 9. Obviously, we have put a lot of effort into trying to release version 9 by, before, or very shortly after the face-to-face meeting. That would no longer be possible, because we have a number of originally version 10 content that was already approved. So we would have to reopen a lot of the version 9 editorial efforts. So we realize that this is would be unfortunate and somewhat of a burden to the version 9 test plan editors. In terms of version 10, we at this point would not be comfortable declaring a submission deadline for version 10, simply because we need to see how this whole test plan releases mandatory dates is shaping out. But I think we previously agreed that the major release test plans and the corresponding submission deadlines would be aligned with the face-to-face meetings. So again, we're not suggesting to move the version 10 submission deadline to a specific meeting, but it would either be the fall face-to-face meeting, the spring next year face-to-face meeting, or potentially a subsequent meeting, which would likely be undesirable. But at this point, version 10 submission deadline would no longer be this fall face-to-face meeting, would either move to fall this year or likely spring next year. As I said, these are high-level discussions we or Andy had with the operators. There likely have to be some more discussions among the operators. And we would hopefully have some more detailed proposals in the release planning document for the face-to-face. We are already scheduled to have a leadership call between OTA, CSERT, operators, and all of the sub-working group task force leadership folks here for early March. So we hope that we can see whether we can formalize some of these topics that I just presented for discussion. So again, I realize this is in many instances highly undesirable, but we felt that we should not move forward with version 9 and version 10 when we don't even have version 8 mandatory at this point. So I open up the floor for discussions. We have 17 minutes left. We obviously still want to talk about the next meeting dates, but I did want to make sure that we have sufficient time to talk about the idea that Andy myself had in terms of the big changes for versions 9 and 10.
Well, I am happy to see that we're trying to avoid running test plans in parallel, which I think is very good. I guess it is a lot to digest. So I guess to recap, things that were becoming normative in 10 would now move to 9 with the later enforcement date of 9.
They would. Yes, version 9 will obviously run its course in terms of publication date and an enforcement date. If there are aspects that we have already approved for version 10 that we considered to be 2027 material, and that could potentially be mandatory in 2026 now, we would again open up the floor to see whether OEMs, operators, test equipment vendors have concerns enforcing items originally approved for version 10 and moving it up to version 9 with a potentially earlier enforcement date. So yes, at that point, we would be opening up the discussion. Will that particular portion of the test plan be normative as originally planned for version 10? Will that be informative in version 9 or not?
So as part of the agenda for the face-to-face, will we dedicate time to review all the approved version 10 contributions to figure out the position?
Right. So we obviously have the 2 hours of the editorial call on Monday morning. So that would certainly be on the agenda for those 2 hours. Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, an editorial, not in the main OTA.
Well, I would say that initially we probably want to do some homework in editorial and then see whether we can bring some of that into the OTA call, either opening session or closing session.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's some pure editorial changes can be discussed around editorial, but some CRs that actually are technical content need to be discussed during the OTA working group. Agenda action item have to be open for that purpose. So the whole audience gonna have opportunity to make a comment. Editorial group is not the whole audience, the whole working group. So
fully agreed. I was just looking at editorial, providing a little bit of an overview, and of course, Will Colbert would effectively have a list of contributions that were approved for version 10, and that would now be required to be merged into version 9 or the new version 9. And my idea was simply that we would filter through these contributions and present it in a more informative manner to OTA in a subsequent fashion. Absolutely, yeah. I agree with you. So.
I mean, yeah, the editorial team will review those contributions for editorial work, and then as Thorsten indicated, the editorial team could probably provide a much better overview to the overall working group and highlight the contributions that are more controversial and highlight the ones that are pretty straightforward and explain why. And it'll go a lot faster in the main OTA working group then.
I agree.
Oh, go ahead. Jose.
Yeah, thanks, Kevin. Yeah, maybe, a couple thoughts. So, yeah, I think we definitely need some work from editorial and leadership to get that clear overview. Probably we can group not only per CR but major topics, and we have a clear recommendation to be discussed at the opening, at the face-to-face opening OTA working group at the face-to-face. I think it's going to be smart, but that requires some prior work in the next few weeks. The other thought, definitely, I think it's a good choice. Kevin mentioned to avoid all this parallel working in parallel with the different releases. My concern it's still the same, and I got feedback inside and outside already a few times in the past few years. We are getting to a point where we are giving a very bad image because we are not providing any visibility what is coming and when it's coming and when to expect a new feature or not only a new version but features with this version, that mandatory date. I honestly think we need to take it seriously and have a better plan. How do we decide new versions and the contents for new versions? Otherwise, this is getting really messy and again giving a bad impression to the industry. So I hope we can think about it and make it better over time.
Absolutely. I know, Jose, we discussed this offline. I fully agree, and I think we have shown that we can crank out test plans on a very, very regular basis, but we have not been able to catch up on making these mandatory. As Ron mentioned, version 8 had a tremendous amount of scope, which is why things are getting delayed. What I'm seeing also is that test equipment vendors are very slow in SVDs. We need to make sure that the test equipment vendors are ready when they say they're ready. And I also talked to Ron about it. He had an impression that SVDs would come on time, and they didn't. So again, I don't want to point fingers, but we need to really look at multiple different aspects and looking at stage processes, possibly not just throw out one date and one requirement, but looking at, okay, we can only look at a mandatory date once we have done certain amount of SVD approvals, and then the labs need to be following that in close succession. So again, this is a very complex process. We need to look at how much scope is in the respective releases. Ron did say version 8 is just a tremendous amount. So yes, I fully agree with you, and this is really, in my opinion, the first step of avoiding the same mistakes that we made before. It is it's a painful process. Again, I openly admit we were ready to release version 9. We are opening up version 9 now completely again. I don't want to say it's wasted time, but there's certainly aspects to it that could have been handled more efficiently, and that is something that Andy and me are striving for. But also we will have to look at processes, scopes, staggered deadlines, and whatnot. So I agree.
In Tulsa, I do have a comment also. If let's say I totally agree that 8.0 delay because of the tremendous content, right? But it sounds like right now you're grouping a lot of things from version 10 into 9. It make even bigger for version 9. Would it make sense just do a cut off there, like just version 9 as it is, and then make the scope flat, and then move forward? As I'm just wondering, we shouldn't add more content on 9.0. Now we are adding a lot, actually, after 6 months of effort into 9.0 content, actually.
Well, I would agree with you if we had held the version 9 submission deadline to be the original deadline, but we have seen a lot of scope increase in version 9 over the last 6 months. So we have not been holding the original contribution submission deadline an approval deadline for version 9. We have thrown the kitchen sink almost in version 9 still. So yes, and I fully agree. There are aspects in version 10 that people thought, oh, this will not happen until 2027, and now it could potentially happen in 2026, and that is why we need to see on a potentially case-by-case basis is whatever we have previously approved for version 10, is it worth adding normative, informative, or potentially not even at all? Maybe we say, you know what, this is stuff that we never even expected in 2026. It doesn't even make sense to put it informative into version 9. So yes, I would suggest that we consider whatever was approved for version 10, we added as normative, informative, or not at all. I know I didn't mention this before in the summary, but you're right. We should select from these 3 different options and all of the approved content for version 10. Absolutely, I agree.
Okay,
good feedback.
Thank you.
All right, so we have 5 minutes left. I will not get into the late contribution. I would like to have us focus on the, actually, sorry, before we go to the next meeting date and the face-to-face, Jose, do you have captured any assignments?
No, I did not. I think it's on the no special new action regard.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I know we had a lot of soft actions. I know Ron has already reached out to you. So, okay, no new assignments. Let's go and have Will provide an update on the spring face-to-face meeting That is in less than 4 weeks from now.
Sure. Thanks, Thorsten. Yeah, so the first announcement, as you'll see on this revised calendar, is that the first session of Monday SPD LAD has been canceled. So you likely received an email on that, but I did want to remind folks that we will not be having that session, and we will be starting the day with the editorial meeting at 10 a.m. Breakfast will start at 9 a.m. and it'll be a continental breakfast. In addition to that, you probably received an email a couple of weeks back regarding the social event. That will take place Wednesday, March 18th from 6 to 9 p.m. at County Line Barbecue. There is a registration link for that, so please do register. And there has been a additional recommendation for hotel, Spring Hill Suites by Marriott. Again, that was included in that same email about the social event. So hopefully you have all of those details. If you don't, please feel free to reach out to me. And last but certainly not least, if you plan on attending in person, please do register as soon as you can. The deadline is March 6th rather. But the sooner we can get those, the sooner we can plan and get everything wrapped up and ready for you. I do see a hand raised from Kevin.
Yeah, since the SVD has been LAD Met session was canceled, might it make sense for the editorial team to take that extra hour to discuss the changes we just talked about?
Probably not a bad idea. As the leadership, if that's okay by you guys, to adjust that so we can take an additional hour for editorial. I think this will probably be something we'll discuss next week as well during our 2 editorial sessions. But yeah, I think it doesn't hurt to have some extra time.
Yeah, Kevin, I thought you would say that. I think 2 hours might be sufficient, but yes, I don't think it would hurt since probably most of us have already scheduled our flights to be arriving at in Cedar Park in Austin on Sunday night or Monday early morning. So yes, I do believe that it might make sense for us to maybe move the breakfast back to 8:30 and start the editorial team meeting earlier. If we finish early, that would give the leadership team some time to prepare for the OTA meeting and the overview that we were hoping to maybe talk about and formalize in editorial meeting. So yes, it would make sense maybe to start that early, and whatever time we have left at the end, the OTA leadership team could then take some time to formalize a small presentation on the release planning document. I can make that change back in the schedule and send it out to CSERT, and then we could add that to the meeting summary with that revised schedule. That's totally fine. I'll make that.
Great. Those are all of my updates. So hand things back over to you, Thorsten.
Very good. So we have 1 minute to spare. Again, I'm not going to talk about the late contribution at this point. And with that, we are ready to adjourn today's call.
Thorsten, do you want to set the next call after the face-to-face?
Yes, we will set the call at the next 1 or 2 calls at the face-to-face.
Okay.
We the 3 of us are going to get together at the face-to-face and make sure that the corresponding Mondays and Tuesdays, potentially Mondays, are going to be blocked by Will that we have reserved for OTA call going forward. But yeah, most likely we're going to select those dates on the opening session anyway. So we'll be probably first in booking those dates. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. All right. With that, this call is adjourned, and I see most, if not all of you, on in Cedar Park in March.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks. Bye, everyone.
Thanks.